Welcome to This Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're here today because we're putting on our lead tech analyst hats to unpack what is, frankly, shaping up to be the most massive, industry-shaking shift we've seen in consumer electronics in well over a decade. We are looking at a monumental pivot from app-based AI software to dedicated ground-up hardware.
Okay, let's dive into this. OpenAI literally builds the smartest AI models in the world. But right now, to actually use them, you have to go through a device controlled by Apple or Google. So the core mystery we're solving today is this. Why on earth is a software giant risking everything to enter the notoriously brutal, incredibly crowded hardware market? Why build a phone?
To figure that out, here is our roadmap for the briefing. We'll be covering 1. Trapped in the sandbox. 2. The agentic interface revolution. 3. Poaching Apple's hardware kings. 4. Luxshare's billion-dollar gamble. 5. China's aggressive Android shortcut. And 6. Iterative reality replaces AGI. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. Trapped in the sandbox. Examining the limits of app-based AI. Think about how you use your smartphone right now to do something super simple, like, say, ordering food. You gotta unlock your screen, hunt for the specific app, type in a search, add it to the cart, and then authenticate your payment. It's just this messy, completely manual chain of steps. ChatGPT might be utterly brilliant, but right now, it's stuck behind someone else's lock screen. It has to deal with Apple's app permissions, strict sandboxing rules, privacy walls, you name it. It knows exactly what you want, but the phone still treats it like it's just another app sitting on a shelf. And that right there is exactly why the phone format is absolutely crucial. An AI agent simply cannot reach its full potential as just another app. You know, a smart speaker is great for home. Smart glasses help when you're out for a walk. But the phone, it holds the highest information density of your entire life. Think about it. It has your location, your calendar, health data, payment habits, your private messages. For a true AI agent to actively manage your day, having that deep device-level context isn't just a nice-to-have, it's the whole point. Which brings us to Section 2, the Agentic Interface Revolution, a totally new paradigm for UI. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman used this really fantastic metaphor that brilliantly illustrates the shift we're about to see. He compared our current smartphones to Times Square, just a constant, exhausting bombardment of information, notifications, and totally fragmented attention. He contrasted that with the device OpenAI actually wants to build, something more like a lakeside cottage, a much calmer, highly intelligent environment where you can basically close the door when you need to focus. They aren't trying to sell just another smartphone. They want to sell a completely different way to interact with technology.
We're calling this the agentic interface. The old logic of tapping your way through a grid of icons is completely flipped. Instead of you opening an app, you just tell the phone what you want done. The AI natively controls the operating system and decides on its own which tools, apps, or cloud services it needs to string together to accomplish your objective. Pretty soon, you might stop thinking about apps entirely as places you have to manually visit. Section 3. Poaching Apple's hardware kings. Tackling consumer electronics isn't something a software company can just wing, right? They need an all-star team. Look at this sheer concentration of Apple DNA here. OpenAI has built this dedicated hardware team of about 200 people. Product design? That's being handled by Love From, the studio led by former Apple design legend Johnny Ive. They brought on Tong Tan, a 25-year veteran who actually designed iPhones and Apple Watches, and Evans Hankey, who led Apple's industrial design after Johnny Ive left. Actually, get this, OpenAI aggressively poached over 20 hardware experts from Apple last year alone. The talent drain was so severe that Apple reportedly canceled an annual closed-door meeting in China out of pure executive anxiety that even more people would jump ship. No way, right?
And here's the rumored timeline for this ground-up ecosystem. We're looking at a $200 to $300 smart speaker shipping around February of 2027. Then by 2028, mass production of smart glasses aimed directly at competing with Meta and Apple. And finally, culminating in 2028, the AI phone itself. They are really taking their time, building that hardware muscle memory step by step. Now let's move to Section 4, Luxshare's billion-dollar gamble. Time to put on our hardcore supply chain analyst hats. Because you can have the best designers in the world, but you need someone to actually manufacture millions of these things. According to industry survey data from top analyst Ming-Chi Kuo, the supply chain is mobilizing right now. Luxshare has reportedly won the exclusive system co-design and assembly contract.
Why? Because inside Apple's massive machine, Luxshare has always kind of struggled to surpass Honhai or Foxconn in iPhone assembly. This is Luxshare's huge chance to become the primary builder of the next computing generation. We also see heavy hitters like MediaTek and Qualcomm involved in processor design. This is vital. You can't just slap a chatbot onto a regular phone. The processor has to be custom designed around agentic behavior, perfectly balancing heavy cloud reasoning with hyper-efficient on-device models so you don't instantly kill the battery. And partners like Gertech are in talks for components, leveraging their deep experience building Apple AirPods and HomePods. So why are these massive chip and manufacturing titans taking a software company so seriously? Well, it's because of this number right here, 300 to 400 million units. That is the size of the global high-end phone market every single year. While one high-end server AI chip brings in a ton of revenue, the phone market offers unprecedented, massive scale. Even capturing a tiny sliver of this market creates a colossal new business line for OpenAI and its partners. Section 5. China's aggressive Android shortcut. Because while OpenAI is playing the slow game in the US, China is running a very fast, very aggressive real-world experiment. We're basically witnessing a massive global A/B test. On one side, you have OpenAI's approach, building the phone, the OS layer, and custom chips entirely from the ground up. It's slow and it's incredibly expensive. On the other side, you have the approach of companies like ByteDance, working with ZTE to launch the Dubo phone. They aren't waiting around to build an OS. Instead, they created a GUI agent, a graphic user interface agent. The AI literally reads the existing Android screen and simulates human finger taps to navigate apps, compare prices, and send messages. The advantage of this shortcut is blinding speed. The first-gen Dabo phone hit the market late last year for only about $480. Demand was so insane that engineering prototypes completely sold out, with resale prices spiking up to $5,000. ZTE stock even hit its daily limit. But there was a massive catch. Because the AI bypasses normal app boundaries and essentially impersonates a human topping the screen, major apps like WeChat, Alipay, and several banking apps absolutely panicked. They started blocking the Dabo phone for security reasons because it punched a massive hole right through normal permission models. It proves the consumer demand is definitely there, for sure, but it also proves exactly why OpenAI's native, ground-up hardware approach might actually be the only secure way forward. Which brings us to our final section. Section 6, Iterative Reality Replaces AGI, a major shift in operating principles. Take a look at this data, directly from OpenAI's updated corporate charter. In their 2018 charter, the term AGI, artificial general intelligence, the whole idea of an AI that surpasses humans in all tasks, was mentioned 12 times. It was basically their entire goal. But in the new 2026 version of their principles, it appears only twice. That is a stark drop. Industry leaders are quietly shifting away from the hype of a sudden magical AGI breakthrough, moving toward practical, specialized intelligence. So, the crucial point is this concept of iterative deployment. The new charter explicitly states that the world needs to grapple with each successive level of AI capability step by step. They are realizing that you can't just drop a superintelligence on the world on a random Tuesday, right? Society has to adapt. By building physical hardware, speakers, glasses, phones, OpenAI is creating the tangible interfaces that will allow us to gradually integrate this immense intelligence into our daily lives, securely and iteratively. Which leaves us with the ultimate question. In a few years, when these devices actually hit the market, will you trade the familiar app-filled chaos of Times Square for the autonomous, quiet intelligence of a lakeside cottage? It is a massive gamble, but if they pull it off, the smartphone as we know it will be history. Thank you so much for joining me for this briefing. Stay curious, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.